5.
Welcome back, our Legion of Lovely Liberty Leviathans, for our second half of the MLL Sunday show. We have got a lot to talk about on our second half, mainly Vegas. The entire narrative has fallen apart. Yeah, break out your tinfoil hats because there are some weird things going on with this, all the way from witnesses disappearing to people being deceased to a lot of official narratives all the way up to the CEO of the MGM Grand that owns Mandalay Bay hiding things from the police, and the police chief bringing it out right now. I can't even begin to tell you all the things that are happening with this. But Lou, why don't you get them started off on our first little tidbit of information that they might have missed, because MSM is not reporting this whatsoever unless they're forced to.
Yeah, it's a whole conundrum of you know what. So yes, America is not buying the narrative that is being sold to us. Mainstream media would like you to believe that one 64-year-old man was able to go out and injure 500 people and kill 59 people with a bump stock fed rifle. This is not the case. This is not the truth. We all know what's really going on here. There is a cover-up going on from the FBI, the Las Vegas Police Department, and the mainstream media, and they're trying to push gun control through the Democratic Party. This is what's happening. And we have multiple witnesses that have actually been shot that have actually seen multiple gun shooters, okay? We're not buying this, ladies and gentlemen. We are not buying it. The American people aren't buying it. We know there is something going on here, and we want answers. The sheriff from Las Vegas Police Department came out last week saying that there was multiple shooters and there was multiple things going on here, and we're looking into radicalization. As soon as the FBI steps in, all of a sudden it's, oh, hush, hush, hush. The brother of the shooter starts saying, oh, yeah, he's a bad guy. Yeah. No, this whole thing does not add up. This, in my opinion, is a false flag operation. By saying false flag, though, that does not mean that it didn't happen. Yes, this obviously clearly did happen. People died. But, that being said, there is something that we're not being told here, Logan. Something very big that we're not being told.
They are absolutely hiding something. I've never seen any kind of more obvious scene of this. I mean, the official narrative is completely being torn down every single day. It started off with the sheriff saying, you would have to believe this guy is Superman to be able to pull this off by himself, getting hushed up later. Now we have proof, absolute proof, that there was a second shooter. You cannot deny this. I mean, through forensic evidence, through eyewitness testimonies, through... I just can't even say it. Not only that there were two shooters, but there were gunshots going off miles away, or at least 1 mile away from the scene before the main scene even took place. Jose Campos, the security guard that got shot, is now missing. There's an eyewitness who is now found dead, and her entire identity has been wiped off of social media. Every time you see the LVMPD officer, the Sheriff Lombardo, speaking, there's an FBI agent right here just hovering over him, making sure he doesn't screw up. It is obvious. It is completely obvious that there is something they are not telling us and that they know it. Not only that, but they have now a question of why Mary Lou Danley, yes, the Mary Lou Danley, who is the girlfriend of this guy, was covered up from being in the hotel, even though we have eyewitness testimony right after this all happened, that someone fitting her description before her description ever got out to the public was walking around harassing people saying they were all going to die that night. There is something going on. It absolutely reeks, and we are being lied to. I don't know why we are being lied to. I don't know who is pulling the strings of the lie, but what I do know is this is absolute crap. It is complete crap.
Nobody believes what the mainstream media is telling us. We know better. Okay? The mainstream media has been saying for the past 2 weeks that they cannot figure out for the lives of them what the motive is. Let's just look at this. It was a country western concert. The overwhelming majority of them were white, God-fearing Republican Americans. Okay? That is the motive right there. 59 of them were shot and killed. 500 of them were injured. Logan, what do you have to say about the mainstream media coming out saying we can't figure out a motive? If this was like a white person shooting a bunch of black people, the mainstream media would have had that in minutes. Minutes. Logan, what do you have to say about that?
It's absolute horse crap. They know what the motive is. They've known what the motive is since they started investigating this. There are reports of having Antifa and ISIS literature in his room. The whole thing stinks. He was there how many days? 5-6 days before this actually happened. Nobody saw 30 guns in that room and reported it. They were saying that, oh yeah, no, he didn't have anybody with him. They have over how many visits of, him coming to these hotels and nobody's ever with him. Nobody ever checks in with him. Well, guess what? This time Mary Lou Danley absolutely did. And the LVMPD has been absolutely forced to admit this. Although I will give them credit, I think the LVMPD wanted to admit this beforehand, but they were under pressure from a federal agency, the FBI, to not release this. That's why you see an FBI agent hovering over the sheriff of Las Vegas every single time he makes a statement. The sheriff himself, I think he's in fear for his life. I mean, we have that one witness now already dead. We have Jose Campos completely missing. That is astounding to me. This is probably one of the most important people in America right now to testify and shed light on this shooting, the most massive, the largest mass shooting in American history. All of a sudden goes missing. You don't think the FBI had tabs on him? He was set up to do interviews with many mainstream media outlets, and he missed all of them. Nobody knows where he is.
Yeah, it's amazing how at first this guy, Jesus Campos or whatever, like he was claimed as a hero, right? Yeah. And the next thing you know, the sheriff department comes out with this new timeline saying that, actually he was shot beforehand.
6 minutes.
6 minutes beforehand.
6 full minutes.
And next thing you know, he's supposedly this hero. He's supposed to come on shows like big-time talk shows, like syndicated shows like Sean Hannity.
CNN, all of it.
CNN. He goes missing, completely missing. All in the meantime, we have actual witnesses, actual victims, victims that were shot in hospitals coming out forth and saying, yeah, we have multiple shooters on the ground, different levels of different hotels. And then this guy just goes up and missing.
Yeah, goes up and missing.
Yeah, and the next thing you know, the sheriff department is saying there's no conspiracy here. There's only one shooter here.
He said himself before. He said like a day or two after, you would have to think this guy was Superman to be able to pull this off by himself. Now, those that don't know anything about shooting, from where that guy was, it's not point and click even with a crowd that size. Using a bump stock, even like the slightest bump from that trajectory from where he was could send a bullet flying way far away and not even get close to that concert. Now, I mean, leave all of this aside, and the autopsy that came out today, they're saying that they are not going to release a cause of death? Wouldn't the cause of death be a gunshot? That's what we've been told.
You would think.
You would like almost have to assume, well, not even have to assume, you would have to know by the official narrative that it was a gunshot. One way or another, that's what he was supposed to have died from. Why would they be hiding that? Why would they be hiding information on this autopsy? Why is Jesus Campos missing? Possibly one of the most important witnesses to this entire thing. He saw who shot him. And he was about to do these interviews. Now he's gone. Why is he gone? I don't know. But what I can say is, knowing how important this man is as a witness, that the FBI wasn't keeping complete tabs on this guy is unthinkable. There is no way that he just went missing on his own like this. That is completely unbelievable to me. Are you kidding? Not to mention the poor lady who was a witness to all these things now found dead.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know this poor woman's name. I wish I did. But at the same time, I think I remember the interview she gave, and it was about multiple shooters. We have the LVMPD sheriff saying before all this that it's impossible that there weren't more than one shooter. We have Jesus Campos going missing now. We have reports from several eyewitnesses saying that shots were going off before this ever happened. There's video of this. I mean, to say that I'm wearing a tinfoil hat right now, I'm just connecting obvious dots. Obvious dots. And I've been saying this for weeks. They are not telling us something. I don't know what it is yet. But it's scary. The level of cover-up that's going on with this is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. It's undeniable proof that there were two shooters. I said it a week ago. I'm going to say it again now. There were at the very least, two shooters. Was Paddock a patsy? I don't know. Did he commit it? I don't know. But either way, there is no way he did it by himself. He had bomb-making material. He had his girlfriend there, Mary Lou Danley, someone that eyewitnesses were saying that, yes, she was harassing people, these concert goers, saying that you were all going to die tonight, fitting her description before anybody knew who she was. Philippines, my ass. But anyway, Lou, I don't know. What do you got on this, man? Am I like completely off base on this? I mean, what are you thinking?
No, you are completely on base on this one, Logan. The same people that were able to capture the flag basically efficiently with Shia LaBeouf. Do you guys remember this during the election last year? When Shia LaBeouf set up this art project with "He Will Not Divide Us" against Trump? Yes. So the same people in 4chan and Poll, which stands for politically incorrect, basically from Reddit and 4chan, these same people were able to use flight charts and star patterns to decipher and find out where Shia LaBeouf was hiding his "He Will Not Divide Us" art project. These people have been able to find out the information that this Paddock guy worked for a contractor, a defense contractor that worked for the Obama administration. This guy has more CIA and FBI ties than it would blow your mind once you see this. I'm sorry, but I'm more inclined to believe the weaponized autism of 4chan and Poll than I am the mainstream media. And as you can see in these the sheriff press releases out of Las Vegas, this guy, this poor sheriff, you can tell by the look of his face and his words and his body language, this guy knows a lot more, and he's not allowed to say anything. Because we're being told this narrative that's just not true. I mean, we have people that were shot, actual witnesses that were shot that saw multiple shooters on the ground. And we're being told that there's no cover-up, there's no such thing, but yet you got Hillary Clinton 10 minutes into this shooting saying, let's not politicize this shooting, but at the same time, let's stand up to the NRA and let's enact gun control. This whole thing reeks of globalist and leftist and Democratic Party collusion.
Right. And by the way, Paddock, not an NRA member. Just throwing that out there. But, I mean, look, yes, absolutely. The eyewitnesses' accounts of saying there were shooters on the ground. That is key. That is key. They were saying they saw them on the ground. They're not talking about flashes from different hotel rooms with window, whatever. They're saying we saw these people on the ground. Now, in a lot of the videos you hear, that really backs that up, because when you hear it, the gunshots are obviously a lot closer than they were from the Mandalay Bay. Obviously,
should we play that clip right now?
Yeah. If you got that,
let's do that.
Yeah.
But these are all the people randomly sitting inside the Bellagio Hotel, where the sheriff is saying nothing happened, as Daniel and I were sitting where bullets were being fired, and we were in the lobby at the lobby bar. So I wanted to post this so that everybody could see inside the Bellagio Hotel.
Sitting? Why are they sitting?
Why we are all down here.
I don't know. I can't see the clip. I'm not exactly sure which one.
The whole hotel is on lockdown.
lock
but I
yourselves
don't like
away.
the fact that it was being reported one way. We were
It's hard to
trying make all kinds of
judge
phone calls
reactions
because
when you've never been
when
in
I heard
that,
the
because the
gunfire
shock has to be
and
amazing.
I've never heard anything like that, and I never in my life thought I'd ever be in anything like that. And now they were saying no, that nothing happened at the other hotels. Like I said, I don't know what happened at the other hotels, but I do know what happened at this one, and I know that my husband, right here, jumped on top of me, and I was holding on to another lady because she was scared to death crying until the security told us that we could then be ushered to the back corridors. We were just trying to maneuver around the hotel and to get back to our room. So all those people down there, because the hotel is on lockdown, and I know, like I said, I couldn't get close enough to film the front doors with all the glass and everything all over.
This isn't the one with the
but,
gunshots, though. Let me pull that one up.
Pull up the one with the gunshots, because it's very clear. I mean, anybody who has ever fired a gun, you can hear the pinging, you can understand where there's a higher frequency of bullets hitting something, so you can hear the ricochet, but then all of a sudden, a completely different fire pattern opens up and is louder than the one that you hear before.
Yeah, it's obviously not an echo, and even though there's a lot of buildings and stuff, there's an initial psh, and then there's like a clunk almost in a bullet shot. But here's this video. I'll play this real quick. Not pleasant to listen to.
No, it isn't.
Now it sounds like it's
Thank you,
coming from,
InfoWars, for all these
farther
great
away.
clips.
Oh, thank you to the people that actually filmed this while it was happening.
Well, and
Unfortunately,
for
the
InfoWars
way
for bringing them
I
up
was
for us.
able to comprehend what had happened was a young girl was fatally shot at pretty much at my feet, and that's when I just pulled my wife to the floor. My best friend and his wife hit the ground too, and that was the initial first go around. Like I said, we fled out the back. Just every after the barrage of firing, I would just lay down on top of my wife, and then he would have to reload or change weapons. So you had about a 20-second or so, like in between intermission, I guess, and we would just stand up and sprint. The next fire would start, we'd hit the ground again, and we made our way. I mean, we were about probably 40 yards from the main stage where Jason Aldean was playing. We made our way to the very end of the venue and exited out a side stage where they were doing some of the side shows. And I can tell you 100% that after listening to the fire for 7 to 8 minutes as we're fleeing, we got to the portion of that venue where I stopped because it sounded like the gunfire had completely shifted angles and was not echoing, and it sounded like we had, rather than fleeing the area where the shots were coming from, it was a second there where we had, like, almost were running into the firing.
Clip after clip after clip, bullets flying everywhere, everybody running. It was really, really bad.
And you guys said that there were multiple shots fired.
We were on the furthest VIP stages away from Mandalay Bay, and they were ricocheting everywhere where we were. So they were firing from somewhere high, and they were unloading clip after clip after clip after clip.
So there was a shooter, you believe?
Multiple shooters.
Multiple shooters.
It has to be.
I know a person that was out there that was running away from the stage, behind the stage, that was shot in the front of the knee.
Wait. You're saying he was behind the stage?
Yes.
Hit in the knee?
Coming from behind the stage. She was up at the front, took off the side, and went behind the stage and was running away from the gunfire and told...
Yeah, we could play that clip all day. I mean, you guys check it out, Infowars.com. They've provided a lot of great combination of clips and investigative reporting on this. Logan, what do you have to say about that?
Call it conspiracy theory all you want. I don't care where the reporting's actually coming from. The video speaks for itself, and I mean that doesn't even show the amount of gunfire that was actually happening. The thing that really gets to me with this entire situation and has gotten to me since the beginning of it is 58 Americans are dead, over 500 more wounded that were fighting for their lives. The hospitals ran out of tourniquets. They were using everything to get their hands on, belts. They used some curtains from windows. And the fact that we are being lied to about this, we're being lied to about this motive, we're being lied to about there being multiple shooters, we're being lied to about timetables, we are being lied to about who this guy is, we are being lied to about who is with him, we're being lied to about everything. These people deserve justice. It's not being done right now. It's very sad. It hits to the core of me. These are people my age that just wanted to go to a concert, hear some music. They weren't expecting any of this crap to happen. And the fact that there's no motive established, if this was the opposite, if this was a white guy shooting at a black concert, it would have been, or not a black concert, but a rap concert, or whatever the hell you want to call it, whatever it is. If this was in the opposite direction, the motive would have been established within 30 seconds of what his ideas of this were. But the fact that it was the other way around, now we can't establish motive in it. The autopsy doesn't establish any kind of brain damage or anything like that. They aren't even releasing his cause of death, which would obviously be a gunshot, according to this official narrative. What else would it be? The entire thing is disgusting to me. The way it's been handled, the way it's been covered up. And I mean, now we have more Americans that are still in danger of this. Another witness. She survived this entire thing. She was a witness to it. She gave statements to it right after it happened. Now she's dead too. How many more of us have to die? How many more of us have to get hurt? How many more of us have to feel this pain and loss of loved ones before we actually get what really happened out? I don't know why it's being covered up. I can speculate all day on why it's being covered up, but I don't really know why it's being covered up. And it's I
got a pretty good idea why, Logan. I got a really good idea why. Because initially when this happened, there was reports of the White House has a hold of an ISIS tape of the shooter being radicalized 6 months prior.
That too.
Initially, when the FBI busted into the room, they said that there was Antifa and ISIS material everywhere. This is a hotel we're talking about. Why was a 64-year-old man able to carry up 40-some semi-automatic rifles with 1,000 pounds of ammo? And he supposedly had set up cameras in the hallways in his own room, made his own video. Why have none of the videos come out? Yes.
For sure.
Exactly. This reeks of deep state. This reeks of deep state false flag operations. When I say false flag, I don't say false flag saying that it didn't happen. Obviously, yes, this is a tragedy. People lost lives. This is a real thing. People really did die. But what this reeks of is a setup from the United States of America government. This whole thing reeks. We have multiple witnesses on the ground, shot up in the hospital, saying there was multiple shooters. How was a 64-year-old American male able to carry up all this firepower with no one saying anything over a 5-day period, shooting out, breaking out hurricane-proof windows? This isn't going under the rug, ladies and gentlemen. Hotels are very secure places. If you cover up that don't come into my room for 2 days, they come in looking through everything. How was the hotel not having any idea of what was going on? This whole thing.
They know.
Exactly.
The MGM knows. And I said this in the last time that we covered this. The CEO of MGM Grand had a huge campaign for all of his employees. By the way, the MGM does own Mandalay Bay. But he had this huge thing for all of his employees where he said, if you donate to CARE, I will match every single dollar you donate. He was a huge advocate of CARE, the Council for American Islamic Relations, which is a terrorist organization. They have ties to Hamas, Boko Haram, the Islamic Brotherhood, all these guys that are carrying things out in the Middle East that are friends of ISIS. They fund them. The CARE funds them. Don't be fooled by the name again. Same with the Black Lives Matter. Their name doesn't mean crap because they go against everything they're saying.
Well, you can
Same
tie
with
all of them back
Antifa.
to George Soros, right? I mean, honestly.
Of course.
Yes.
And I believe that you might be able to tie this guy back to George Soros. Eventually, maybe that'll come out. Again, speculation, but too many dots are adding up. And this is it's just absolutely disgusting. Do not get caught, because not only was this guy asking all of his employees to donate to CARE, which is a terrorist organization, but he was going to match every dollar they did donate. But his wife was an Obama administration employee. This has deep state soaked all over it, man.
Written all over it, Logan. You're right. It's written all over it, guys. And this is why. This is why Trump won. The silent majority is silent no more. We've had enough. We're tired of this globalist, communist, socialist onslaught. We're done. We're done. We're so done. And this is why no one is believing anything that the mainstream media is telling us. They're trying to tell us that the 164-year-old male was able to shoot 59 people and injure 500 more people. While we clearly can hear there's more than one shooter, we have more than one multiple witnesses, shot witnesses, by the way, saying more than one shooter. We're not buying this. We know what really happened here, and citizen journalists like ourselves at Major League Libertarians, we're going to get the information out, and we're not going to let this go away. The American people are not going to let this get swept under the rug, and Hillary Clinton, 10 minutes after this tragedy happened, is saying, let's not be political, but yet let's be political and call out the NRA, who had nothing to do with this.
Right, and they call out a bill in Congress. Yeah. Go for it.
Real quick, we've just had a couple of comments about the hurricane windows and why that would be in Nevada. The reason why a lot of those tall buildings have hurricane windows is because they're in the desert and there's a lot of high winds.
That's not why we were commenting on that. We were saying that it's not easy to break things out. It would be very easy for people to hear it.
Right, and
not only that, it wasn't one, it was two.
Was that?
Two.
Yeah, exactly.
There were two of those windows broken out that you can see. In every single picture, no one ever brings that up, which really burns me, because it's right in your face. Are you telling me that this guy, from his one shooting position in the 10 minutes he had, moved from here while he was firing, went to a different window, and started firing from there? Why are there two windows broken out? That doesn't even get brought up. Did he break out both of them before it happened and then just started firing from the one position? That doesn't make any sense. The guy wanted to be in one spot the entire time. He wasn't going to run to another window.
Yeah, and some people are saying that, like, it was a suite, it was a big room, it was a large room.
Maybe it was the same room.
Has been
Maybe it was.
That it was a suite.
Okay, fine. Then it was. Why would he break out two windows in the suite? It doesn't matter if it was a suite or they are different rooms or anything like that. It's a completely different trajectory. It's looking in a completely different spot. And if you were still using that second window to fire on the crowd, why would you have two windows broken out?
I think the ISIS theory is the best one that I've heard so far for this.
Yeah. You're nailing it, Seth. That's my thing.
Stephen Paddock was some kind of a CIA or FBI operative, and they planted this. They were trying to do some kind of an entrapment scheme with ISIS, and ISIS ended up figuring it out, grabbing all the guns, and shooting out the window.
Well, and Jesus Campos going missing lends a lot of credence to that argument, because he would have saw who shot him, and if it wasn't Stephen Paddock, then they do not want him to say that.
Yep, absolutely. No one that has seen either of the killers has really come forward, except for, nobody, I guess.
In my honest opinion, what this looks like to me, this is just my opinion, is this looks like an ISIS arms transfer that went bad. And they shot the informative, they shot the guy. Basically, he becomes a government patsy. And the leftists and the globalists out there, the ruling elite, will just nail this Stephen Paddock guy as a patsy, and he'll be the fall guy, basically. And whoever was really out there, the other multiple shooters, whoever they were, they get to walk scotch-free. And Hillary Clinton and the leftists and Nancy Pelosi and even Mitch McConnell, they can all just call for gun control, stripping us, we the people, more of our rights, when we know damn full well what really happened and we want the truth.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, it was what, 10 minutes afterward, like you were bringing up before. 10 minutes afterward, Hillary Clinton brings this up, right?
Yeah,
she's saying that
minutes.
we got, call for gun control, but she also referenced a bill that was already in front of Congress to eliminate silencers, or not suppressors is the way, the actual thing is what it is. You can't silence a gun. They're suppressors. But it's to outlaw suppressors. Had nothing to do with any of this. Any of it. Not once did they ever say he used a suppressor. Even if he did, why the hell would it matter? He's still doing the exact same thing, and people are going to figure it out. It's not like you add a suppressor onto it, and then all of a sudden nobody has any idea what's going on. A suppressor is really more kind of to dampen the sound for the shooter's ears and kind of distort it a little bit, so it's harder for the person receiving the fire to understand how far away it is and get a beat on him of where the shooter is. It's not like the movies where you just walk up and this guy has the tube on his pistol and it's just like a little whisper. That doesn't happen. That's not a thing. And they're relying on Americans being ignorant to this, being ignorant to the way firearms work. But not only that, being willingly ignorant to accept this completely ridiculous narrative. It is a ridiculous narrative. What you were told at the beginning of this is literally the dumbest thing that they could have came up with. It's a cover-up, and it's not even a good one. It's a terrible lie. There are many holes poked in it really quickly because it's really easy to do.
Yeah,
and there will be more and more.
That's why you see the mainstream media and leftists and globalists, they're running away. They're running away from this story now because, oops, we're finding you out. Oops, and we want to know all the information, and we're going to get that information. I mean, we have people that were actually shot at this event, actually admitting there was multiple shooters. And last week, the sheriff himself came out saying that he would have to be Superman to have committed this by himself. Yeah, like I said, we're talking about a 64-year-old registered Democrat, okay? A pussy hat-wearing NASA guy at multiple rallies in Nevada, carrying up 40 different multiple assault rifles, thousands of pounds of ammunition, and a hotel in Las Vegas had no idea from a 5-day standpoint. We have the receipts now that he checked in with room
Mary
service
Lou Danley
for 2 people. There's pictures of his wife in the Middle East. We have White House reports of radicalization. We have the sheriff admitting the second day after this that we're looking into radicalization. And then just yesterday, we have Las Vegas PD coming out saying, oh, there's nothing to see here. Nothing. Nothing. All the citizen journalists on the ground being shot at, they don't know what they're talking about. There's no conspiracy here. Be quiet because we love you. We love you so much.
The same sheriff that said that this guy would have had to have been Superman to carry this off by himself. Now saying no evidence of a second shooter. While he has an FBI agent sitting right here looming over every fucking thing that he says. Sorry for dropping the F-bomb. I was doing something really good.
That's all right. I understand.
It's just looming over him. Looming over him. Not only that, his brother now under investigation for drug trafficking. Mary Lou Danley proven to have been at the scene when we were led to believe she was in the Philippines. She wasn't in the damn Philippines. She was there. She was not only there, she was fired up enough to go to the concert to start telling people they were all going to die that night. You think it's a coincidence that someone fitting her description was walking around saying that to people and got removed from the concert before anybody knew who she was? Why would they give that description that fits her perfectly before anybody knew who she was?
Yeah, that's the thing, Logan. And once again, we have Stephen Paddock, the supposed shooter, right? The pussy hat wearing registered Democrat. He was wiring money over $100,000 overseas again. This is another one. This is just another one. I mean, it's supposed to be a coincidence. Mainstream media will have you sitting there in your home thinking, we can solve this by passing and enacting more gun control. There's no conspiracy here. There's nothing wrong. Don't listen to the citizen journalists out there and the people that were recording things on their phones. Listen to us. Listen to us. We know the real narrative.
It's just sad, dude. I know that that sheriff does not want to be saying what he's forced to say, but he's forced to say it. Never, ever, ever believe the official narrative, especially the second it comes out, because it's always wrong. Sometimes it's wrong on purpose. Sometimes it's wrong because they don't have all the information. But the thing is, if you don't have all the information, tell us you don't have all the information. There is a reason that they're covering this up. There is a reason they are propagating this lie. And it has nothing to do with the ongoing investigation, because let me tell you, if the people that are being hunted, hopefully they're being hunted by the FBI, this multiple other shooters that were around, they already know. They're not 50 steps behind like we are. They already know that, yes, they have evidence because they were there to provide the evidence. They already know that the FBI should be hunting them because they were there doing it. All right?
It's always amazing when the feds show up, how every time the feds show up, like, they just come over and they take control of all the video footage. Like, why did the Las Vegas Police Department release the supposed suicide photo of the shooter? Why'd they release that? But they didn't release the security footage from the hotel. They didn't release the security footage that this guy supposedly hacked. Why are they only showing his photo on the suicide photo? And there's so many more questions with that. Like, why isn't there blood on the shell casings? Not only
why
that,
isn't there blood on the ground?
Yeah, and the pictures that they're releasing, there's only 12 guns. Like, this whole thing does not add up.
Hey, I've got that clip from the Free Thought Project brought up.
Play the clip. Play it.
Let's play it. Let that roll, Seth. Please do.
And then we've got a really good theory from a follower we should bring up.
Well, roll the clip. Let that play all the way through, and then we'll get to that.
Sounds good.
And the MGM. Nobody, there is no conspiracy between the FBI, between LVMPD and the MGM. Nobody is attempting to hide anything, reference this investigation. My intent, like I stated earlier, is to give you information as I know it, unverified, to calm the public, not to establish a legal case. Everybody understand that? No question, sir.
Like this was 1993. It was during the World Trade Center bombing. That explosion left 6 people dead, more than 1,000 injured. Damages in excess of $500 million. But there is a part of the World Trade Center bombings that is severely underreported. That it was the FBI presiding over the terrorists who carried out the 1993 bombing. In fact, virtually no one would know that fact today had it not been for this man, Imad A. Salim, a 43-year-old former Egyptian army officer. He was used by our government to penetrate a circle of Muslim extremists. According to extensive reporting by the New York Times, Mr. Salim secretly recorded hundreds of hours of conversations with the feds. Again, according to the Times, law enforcement officials were told that terrorists were building a bomb that was eventually used to blow up the World Trade Center. They planned to thwart the plotters by secretly substituting harmless powder for the explosives. The informer was to have helped the plotters build the bomb and supply the fake powder, but the plan was called off by an FBI supervisor. The account portrays the authorities as in a far better position than previously known to foil the February 26 bombing of New York City's tallest towers. We do know for a fact that dozens of times since 9/11, the FBI has recruited, trained, and then taken down suspected terrorists before they could carry out their plots. That's not conspiracy, that's a fact. Is the practice of the FBI creating terror plots only to break them up before they can actually happen really making us safer? Is that what happened here?
If you ask the leadership of the FBI, it will tell you that the FBI, has foiled about 17 plots to kill Americans during the past 10 years. What it will not tell you is that there have been 20 foiled plots, and of them, 3 were interrupted by members of the public. The 17 that were interrupted by the feds were created by the feds. They all have a common and reprehensible thread. They were planned, plotted, controlled, and carried out by the federal government itself. In all these cases, agents worked undercover and portrayed themselves to the targets as Arabs of like un-American mind. In some cases, the federal agents used third parties to act as middlemen. The third parties were typically persons who had been convicted of crimes and who, in return for leniency at their own sentencings, were willing to work with the same feds who prosecuted them in order to help the feds entrap whomever else those feds were pursuing.
The FBI is under fire, accused of encouraging a terror attack. The accusation comes from a security guard who has taken his case to court. Bruce Joyner was wounded in 2015 in an ISIL-inspired terrorist attack targeting the Draw Mohammed contest in Garland, Texas. Now, Garland could have been a massive tragedy, but Mr. Joyner, along with other guards and the police, managed to stop.
What do you guys think about that?
Andrew Napolitano is always very right, and I think here at Major League Libertarians, one of our favorite candidates this year is Austin Peterson, and he actually worked underneath Judge Andrew Napolitano, and as you can see, as that last video you just saw, that's why. That is one of the major influences to one of our favorites, Austin Peterson. And this is plain and clear view here. What we're being told by the mainstream media and the feds is that there's nothing to see here. We love you. Just listen to your Democratic politicians and let's reenact gun control. Let's forget about the real narrative here. There's no conspiracy here. Nothing out of the ordinary happened here. That's what, I mean, this is why. This is why you're supposed to question your government. Right here. Plain and simple.
A follower question real quick.
Yeah, let's bring up all the questions.
Okay, this is actually a theory from Curtis. And this kind of sparked some debate on our feed, which made me want to bring this up. But Curtis states, "This was not an arms deal gone wrong. I'm an ex-airborne infantry with 8 years of service and 2 tours. This was an operation from top to bottom, deep state operation, and not an ISIS deal gone wrong." What do you guys think about that?
I would agree. Honestly, I think he could be right. I mean, could he be wrong? No. How could you prove him wrong? What was the name of that commenter, by the way? I want to say
Curtis.
thank you to
Curtis.
that guy.
Yeah, thank you for your service, Curtis.
Yeah,
by the way.
Thank you for your service, by the way. And yeah, how can I prove you wrong? I can't prove you wrong.
Curtis, you are not the only one saying that this is a top-to-bottom operation. And there's a lot of former military that, like you, have served, but also, I'm not saying a higher level, but special forces guys, also like Navy SEALs, former Delta Force, former Army Rangers, are all saying that this absolutely reeks of a politically motivated attack they've seen in countries that they've served in before. And I don't want to believe it, but
it's almost too much to believe, Logan, like you're saying. The great comment, though, like you said, this does reek of deep state. And like I said, it took, Hillary Clinton 10 minutes to say that let's not politicize this, but she went and politicized it.
I 100% believe she was sitting there with the tweet on her phone, just waiting for the news to come out, and then when she heard the news, press send.
Yeah.
She knew what was going on. Chucky Schumer knew what was probably going on.
What else do we got? Do we have any more? You can finish that point, Logan, but do we have any more comments from our fans and followers?
My point is like I really do not doubt it. Even though I do not want to believe it, I really do not doubt it, because it reeks of deep state. It reeks. It has ties to Obama admins. It has ties to unelected bureaucrats that are silently running our government.
Yeah, that's shadow government. Exactly what Logan's talking about. It's the shadow government. Sean Hannity talks about it now.
Absolutely.
Rush Limbaugh talks about it. It's not
Sean
just
Hannity.
Alex Jones talking about these things.
No.
I mean, we're talking about hardline conservatives talking about this
Alex
stuff now.
Jones talks about it a week beforehand and then constantly is getting vindicated over and over and over and over and over again. The guy is over the target. I believe his sources. Curtis, thank you for the comment, because it's absolutely something to consider. I really hate talking about it because there's no way I can ever really find proof on it necessarily, but the circumstantial evidence
I think the proof will come
overwhelming.
Out. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's coming.
Louis, you asked.
It's coming.
We will work. We will do everything we can to help the truth come out. I know, like other fighters in the liberty movement will do so too. But
if anybody ever has anything that can help us to find information, or you have information, we have this little platform called Major League Libertarians. We will help to get it out there. We are friends with Austin Peterson. We have ties, or at least communication, with Alex Jones.
If AP is smart, he isn't going to touch this.
Other people in the liberty movement and with influence. So if you do have anything. Louis, you had asked for another comment from a follower, and we have a really good one here. Johnny B. Siegel.
What's up, Johnny B?
Johnny B is actually a boy I used to work with for a little bit. He's a good guy. He says, I like what the guy on the X22 report said about the government budget deadline being up September 30th and the deep state needing to pop off an event to bring distraction to get us in a war so they can do what they want to do with the Federal Reserve while we're all caught up.
Damn, that's a good comment.
That's a pretty good comment. That's a pretty good theory right there. I think that's
and it throws and this is something I said on my last solo too, that I would look for a lot more of these attacks happening before November 4th, because I really do believe this guy is connected to it, and I do actually believe these were the first shots fired. I'm sorry, excuse me, the first shots fired in that civil war that we've been hearing about for a while now. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. I don't really know. But the fact this guy had that literature, had that ISIS literature that's been swept under the rug, not letting us see the security footage. There's a lot of things going on with this. And, I mean, it could definitely be tied with the budget deadline and all that. And it seems really callous for us, like really callous for you and me to think that 58 Americans died and 500 got wounded, and they would have tried to kill as many people as they possibly could to get this through. But at that level when you're planning something like that, if you're planning something like that, humans are not humans to you anymore. They're numbers, and they're means to an end. Your death would be a mean to an end for them.
And we already know that our federal government has been involved in stuff like this all over the world. Our federal government is involved in false flags, tampering with other elections all over the world. And
sometimes for good reasons, sometimes for bad. But I don't think we just have one government.
Right. We're talking about deep state here, Logan. We are opening this up. And you know what? The reason why we're going so hard on this tonight is because we're not going to believe what the mainstream media is telling us. We're not believing what the main narrative is. We know better. And the American people, the reason why Donald Trump won is because the silent majority is waking up again. And it's time to stand up. The time for being scared and sitting in the shadows, it's over. It's time to start questioning your government again, people. Stop believing what Fox News and CNN is telling you. Because we know it's wrong. We know it's wrong.
I will say, though, where the hell is Trump on this? He gave one statement.
Well, he did say that it is the calm before the storm. So
he alluded to that, but
I think more information is coming, and I think that people like us, Logan, citizen journalists, we're the reason why things have been happening in America lately, and we have to keep it going. Because if Hillary Clinton would have won, this kind of shit would have been exactly played into their hands. They would have swept us under the rug, called all citizen journalists fake news, blocked anybody from having a cell phone and recording at an event. What we're witnessing right here, right now, is people revolting and standing up and recording real news.
Right.
And I'm waiting for the real news to come out. And I think Trump will make a statement on this coming soon, because this narrative that we're being told, I don't buy it one bit.
I really hope it does not take as long as the news coming out about the 1993 World War Trade Center bombing that you saw in that previous clip. It took forever for it to come out that it was an FBI screw-up, essentially, where they didn't replace the powder, whatever happened there. Also, in that clip, they go on to say that the FBI was in on the Draw Muhammad contest in Texas, and citizens actually stopped that, but there was a FBI agent just kind of driving right by the scene, just letting it go. And in a way, it kind of makes sense that you have to carry out somewhat of a serious attack for your secret agent to get into the higher ups of ISIS, get into the higher ups of these organizations, and in that sense, I sort of understand. But at the same time, when you mess up this bad, if it was an FBI operation, if it was gun running, I know that the last commenter, Jason B, Siegel, Johnny Siegel,
Johnny B.
Yeah, my bad, Johnny B. Siegel. I know that, and he's not the only one saying this. It was politically motivated. I am actually more, for my own theories, I'm more on the side that this was politically motivated. I am actually with Johnny on this. I don't really think that it was an FBI operation messed up, simply because if he was an FBI agent on this, and he did get shot, he was not the only FBI agent on it. And they would have known when he got shot, and hopefully would have stopped whatever happened afterwards. But I really am on the sense with everything culminating with November 4th coming up, with these Antifa morons doing what they're doing, and this guy reportedly having all of that in his room. It does feel very politically charged to me.
Yeah, I mean, and
even the
target, are good,
even
man.
the target feels politically charged to me.
Yeah, it's funny if you look at mainstream media, they're like, Fox News and CNN, they're all like, I wonder what the narrative is. I just can't think of the motive. Well, let's just be real here. This guy opened up and shot and fired on a country music concert, okay? These are God-fearing, American-loving, most of them white people, okay?
Most of them Republican, probably.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's just the demographic. That's just the demographic. I'm not making that up. That's just
exactly.
a fact.
I've got a great comment from a follower here just on the Trump issue, Logan. And Krista says, I think our president either suspects or knows what happened, is not happy, and has a plan. That's what I fall into that camp of hoping
agree.
that he's pissed and he knows the deep state if better than any of us, and hopefully
I'm going
he
to
has
push
a plan
back on
to tackle that.
I'm going to push back on that. I'm not saying that he doesn't know the deep state more than us, or I'm sure he does. I'm sure he understands that better than us, actually. But I don't think he has a plan for it. I think this is something. I mean, look, I like Trump, but he isn't God. He doesn't have a plan for everything. He doesn't know what's actually going to happen. This deep state is working against him, and I am sure he's pissed. Don't get me wrong, but he's not attacking this with the fervor that I would expect. And especially in the sense of when you look at his comments after Charlottesville, where he's condemning violence on all sides, right? People gave him a lot of hell for that and saying that, oh, you're upholding white supremacy and all this. I feel like if he knew that this was some sort of politically charged thing, that he would be going after it and should be going after it. I almost think he's a little bit in fear right now of this.
Yeah, I agree, Logan. I think he is in fear because there is a White House report out that they're sitting on top of an ISIS video with this guy, Paddock.
Right.
And they're sitting on top of a video that this guy actually radicalized himself 6 months ago. I want to know why the Trump administration is not releasing this information.
I want to know why they're so silent. I want to know why they're so silent. I don't give a shit if it's a scapegoat. Why are they so silent on this?
Well, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because I don't know everything. But if this report
I don't either.
From intelligence that this guy radicalized himself 6 months ago, I would hope that the Trump administration use this as best as they can going forward. But
I feel like this kind of lends what I was saying earlier in a way, that we do not only have one government. We have our elected government, and then we have the deep state bureaucrats.
And the shadow government.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, absolutely.
I really do feel like that this was a deep state operation. And that goes back to what Johnny B. Siegel was saying, which is, I agree with him.
There's other
political motivation tied to it all over it. This has political motivation tied to it. And the fact that they have not released a motive still, it would have taken them 2 seconds to release a motive if this was at a rap concert.
And this has other evidence coming up as well. Daryl, one of our followers, has said a couple of times on the feed about a Orlando doctor he's a physician, giving advice to the Las Vegas doctors in July before the attack even happened, and how coincidental that he would be consulting with doctors in Las Vegas.
Amazing.
Of all places.
Well, I will say that it is definitely coincidental, but it could be completely innocuous. Was he not giving any advice to anyone besides Las Vegas? Or was he just giving advice? If he was only giving advice to the doctors in Las Vegas, that would be damning. But if he was making a cross-country tour giving advice, which was very feasible to happen, then yeah, that could just purely be coincidental. But
can we play another clip, Seth,
yeah.
just to keep things rolling, to keep things hot and spicy? Of that list of videos I gave you, could you cue up the one with the actual hospital survivor? You can actually see the guy. He was sitting in the bed.
Rocky
if you look at the, yes,
yeah, play that one.
Hi, this is Dave Hodges of the Common Sense Show, and we're the show that's freeing America one enslaved mind at a time. Well, I've been screaming from the rooftops, no pun intended, that the massacre in Vegas was nothing but an old-style false flag. And the official narrative that we were being fed about the lone nut gunman assassin from the 32nd floor was absolutely false. Well, now to really nail this down and put the final nail in the coffin of this fabricated story, comes forward a man named Rocky Palermo. He was one of the victims of the Las Vegas shooting, and he has blown the whistle and has revealed that he was shot by multiple gunmen during the massacre. Palermo was shot by a gunman in the crowd during Sunday night's mass shooting on October 1st, and he said he has the evidence to prove it. He says there were between 3 to 5 active shooters firing weapons into the crowd, and there was gunfire coming from the ground as well, and from above. Palermo was rushed to the hospital after taking a .223 round to the pelvis and still has 30 to 40 pieces of shrapnel still inside of him. Doctors told him he was inches away from being paralyzed or even killed. Palermo said that his injury was caused by an attacker on the ground and that the bullet was fired at a horizontal trajectory and it was not fired from above, although he did say weapons were being fired from, quote, all angles. Palermo also went on to say that he tried to contact the FBI to give him his eyewitness account of what happened, but his requests were ignored by agents investigating the case. Isn't it interesting that I am receiving firsthand reports from people who say that the FBI is now out there saying we want to hear from you and what you saw, and that many people are afraid to come forward because in the early days following the Kennedy assassination, many of the eyewitnesses were, let's put it this way, they died in very unnatural ways. And this has caused people to hesitate in terms of not wanting to come out. Palermo also is a guns expert. He's familiar with guns and ballistics. He's a hunter. He says the different trajectories of the gunfire was evident from the beginning, even with the chaos going on. He could
Can we pause it right there?
That this was going on, and he did
All right,
not.
I want to pause it right there because this is where the deep state, in my opinion, made their largest tactical mistake of the entire thing. They targeted a group of people who are familiar with firearms, a lot of them veterans. There's a Marine veteran that was saying there were multiple shooters, that you could hear it, that this was not coming from one guy on a, elevated position. He was in Afghanistan in an urban environment where he would have heard these echoes. He knows they weren't echoes. This person knows that there were multiple shooters. He's a gun expert saying this. A lot of people are afraid to come forward. This reeks of deep state because they were relying on the stupidity of the American people. And anyone who believes who believes this official narrative is an idiot. Period.
Yep, Logan, you're nailing it, bud. You're nailing it. And this is why this isn't going away. Democrats, liberals, globalists, elitists, they want this to be swept under the rug now because they realize it hasn't worked for them. But I'm sorry, we have other plans. We're not going to let this go. Okay? We're not. Because we know better and we know what you're doing to us. And we're going to stop you.
58 of our brother and sisters are dead.
Yep.
Over 500 more wounded. We will not let you get away with this. This is bullcrap.
Hey, by the way, I just want to say that Grady Newis wants to come on to our show.
Grady, donate $25 to Austin Peterson.
Grady Newis, he is running for state representative here in Colorado. I want him on. I really like what this guy has to stand for. He wants to talk about Vegas too. So we'll talk about this later on, guys. Grady Newis, yes. We here at MLL, we do have a thing. Yes, if you donate, if you go to AustinPetersonForSenate.com and you donate $25 to Austin Peterson's campaign, and you screenshot your receipt and send it to us, you get to come onto our show and you get to make your own segment on what you want to talk about. That being said, I guess I had to plug ourselves. I'm sorry, but let's get back to Vegas. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Grady, good on you for running. Good on you for wanting to talk about Vegas. But, yeah, donate $25 to Austin Peterson. He'll be a ally of yours in federal Senate. So.
Hold on. Either will get you there. Austin.
Before we finish off this show tonight, guys, I want to take some more viewer comments. Seth, do you got any more?
Let's do it.
Yeah, do we got some more good comments?
Sure.
And I just want to take a quick shout out before we get to these viewer comments. By the way, guys, thank you so much for your comments. You are part of the resistance. I mean, this is amazing. A lot of you have more knowledge than us in some of these areas, and it really does help us. We really listen to your comments, and we really enjoy the feedback, and it raises questions for us, and it throws us into completely different lines of research that we might not have ever gone to without some sort of comment from you, some comment from people that are more experienced than us in certain things. So please keep them coming. They're amazing, and we really do take them to heart. We really do heed them, and it does drive our own intellectual research into what we're doing. So anyway, what's the next one?
Let's hear some
we've
viewer comments.
We've got another theory. I'm trying to go back and find who put this out there. That the shootings were just a cover up for a robbery at the hotel. That's one.
Damn.
No, I don't believe that at all.
It's a good thought.
It's something to think about.
Did the hotel get robbed?
Kim says, I want to know why they let that family back from Afghanistan. Both the husband and wife seem radicalized. Are they using them for bait to watch, risking the welfare of the American people?
Oh, I know what they're talking about, and no, I do not think they were radicalized. Their infant, I believe, daughter was killed in captivity, and that woman was raped in captivity. I believe the reason the guy was refusing to get on the plane before he came, after all this happened. I mean, I don't really know why.
It's a good question. I think it's a great question.
It's a good question, but it's really hard to put yourself in that situation. The guy had been in captivity for God knows how long. He's definitely not anti-West. You can tell that by some of his statements. Now, some of them do come up as a little bit questionable, where he says the United States' agenda or motive in this is not the same as mine. The dude, though, even though our motive might not be the same as his, does seem very religious, and not religious in the traditional radical Islamist sense. He seems, which you could say, not violently radical, but still radicalized in the Christian sense, where he wants to use this experience that his family went through to further the voice of God and further the religion of Christianity. I do not think this guy was radicalized. His wife was raped, and I mean, like, it comes out in these statements. His infant daughter was killed. His children were put through things that nobody in this country can even come close to imagining. And to judge, like, his mental state directly after all of that happened, number one, I believe, is not very empirical evidence. He's probably not in a very good mental state. He's been held in captivity for how long? It goes back to the Obama administration that these people were in captivity. It's been years. But he does come out and say that these people raped my wife, and not just like a private came in one day and raped the wife. No, the captain was involved in it. It was like a whole thing, and he describes it in length and describes his infant daughter being killed.
Right.
I don't think he was radicalized. I think he just wants to be left alone.
Fair enough.
And I think he wants his family just to be left alone.
Lou, I've got one for you too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan says,
bring it on.
This is Dan. He commented a great comment, basically bringing up the fact about the broken windows, and there possibly being shots fired from below that witnesses had seen below the 30th floor, closer to like the 12th or 13th floor. And that's what many people had said. And he had brought up a point that many older buildings actually don't have a 13th floor. They have a 12th floor and then a 12M floor, which is for mechanical, where that's the mechanical room. And that is used... they have big windows in there that they can have access to these to the mechanical room, such as HVAC and pumps and boilers and so forth. So basically, he's saying that's a possible explanation to the 12th floor shooter on the police radio tape.
Yeah, I just want to say that there's a whole bunch of stuff out there. I mean, that fourth floor supposed shooter, apparently it's a strobe light. I mean, there's videos supposedly of guys on the ground shooting. I just want to say that the main narrative that is coming out is wrong. So, I mean, this whole thing with the suite up on the 38th floor or whatever, who knows?
30
seconds. See what I mean? Am I going to know? No, but what we do know as American citizens is this whole thing smells fishy, and we don't believe it. And you can see it in the sheriff of Las Vegas PD. You can see it in his face. 2 weeks ago when this thing first happened, you could see him out there all gung-ho, like, we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to give you the information. It's going to happen. And slowly over time, you just see him start to lose his breath. There's
the guy is clenching
here. There's nothing happening here. This guy standing behind me right now is telling me to say this. No, I'm sorry. You know, I don't have the definitive facts for you. I don't. I can show you hours of YouTube footage and hours of cell phone footage of people that were there, my personal friends that know what was going on. I can show you. We've all seen the same thing, but what we need to do here as American citizens is get together and start saying no. We're not going to believe what you're telling us, because that's what the real problem is. I don't know if the guy was shooting from the 38th floor or the 4th floor or who was this or what was that, but what we do know is that it's wrong what you're telling us, and we're not going to believe it anymore.
And I will say that on MLL, we have never ever said for sure the theories we have are fact. We've said that we're making conjecture based off of what we've seen as fact. The only thing I've ever personally said that I know is fact that it goes against the original narrative is the single shooter theory. That is bullcrap. And I mean, it's coming out now. But then again, it's like we're also trying to figure this out in real time. It's not like we obviously know what happened. We weren't there. The only way we could ever really know of what happened is if we were there. But I will say that we do rely on eyewitness testimony and video over the official narrative.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Because citizen journalists like us at Major League Libertarians, we are part of that generation now that gets the real news. We are that generation of news getters that Hillary Clinton and the globalists and the leftists wanted to silence. They wanted to call us fake news. But they're losing to us repeatedly because we are actually on the ground getting the real news and getting it out. So people that are watching this understand what I'm talking about. We cannot give up. We have to keep fighting, and we cannot let the mainstream media just sweep this one under the rug. We know this one reeks, guys. We know this one reeks, and you can take your tinfoil hats off because this one reeks. And the leftist establishment, the Republican establishment, they all know it. They want to get rid of this story, like, now. Let's not let them get rid of it. Let's get the truth out, guys. Let's get the truth out.
And this has been amazing with the followers tonight. You guys have been super active on the street. Almost hard to follow, but it has been awesome to have you guys on the show with us tonight. We've gotten a lot of comments about our shirts tonight, boys. What do we have to say about that? We all decided to wear some shirts today. These are Major League Libertarian shirts. We are thinking about throwing these into any subscription to our Circle of Liberty coming up. That's going to be something that we're going to be releasing in the next couple of months here. So you guys keep your eyes out for that, and that's a way that you can help us to fight for liberty. And we've got MajorLeagueLibertarians.com. You can always check us out over there too. This is producer Seth.
Absolutely.
My wrap up on this, you guys, is well, first of all, I think you killed it. I don't think that there has been a more truthful and in-depth coverage on this other than the InfoWars that we were the InfoWars clips that we were providing earlier.
They were the first ones once again to
always.
They're great, and they do good work. And we don't necessarily always align with InfoWars, but we also we think for ourselves, and we allow you guys to think for yourselves. And you and Logan killed that tonight, so I just want to put that out there.
Thank you, sir.
We try
our best. I appreciate that. I mean, I guess for my own little wrap up here, I would say don't believe this official narrative. I'm not the conspiracy theorist guy. I mean, Lou will tell you that, we've been alluding to this debate that we were going to have and we can never get to it because so many things keep happening about 9/11 being an inside job. He feels a certain way about it. I feel a certain way about it. The thing is I'm not the conspiracy theorist guy, but this one just reeks way too bad for me to negate all this stuff, and it's coming out in droves, man. I mean, Jesus Campos going missing, that poor girl now being deceased, and all this stuff being swept under the rug. Do not buy the official narrative. The sheriff of Las Vegas himself doesn't buy this official narrative. You can see that in every one of his press releases. All you gotta do is look, read between the lines a little bit, and realize when that FBI agent is just staring at him the entire time. Yep. He's being told what to say, and is not what the truth is. And the fact that 58 of our American brothers and sisters are dead, over 500 wounded, do not let this be swept under the rug. They deserve justice. It could happen to any of us if it can happen to them.
Amen to that. My final point on this whole thing being, just because mainstream media and news tells you that you shouldn't believe that, it's a conspiracy theory, no, you should actually look into it for yourself. And that is the reason why the silent majority is waking up now. And this is something we cannot let get swept under the rug, because Democrats and Republican establishment wanted to use this tragedy to usher in more gun control. They wanted to just completely forget about the real narrative, forget about justice, and they wanted to push in more gun control. So, like a true communist tactic, don't let a good tragedy go to waste. Yeah, that's what happened here. No, let's really get back to Americanism together, all of us. Let's get back to this. Let's find out the truth. Don't let this one get swept under the rug, because this one actually reeks heavily of government corruption.
Yeah, because sometimes they have to create that tragedy.
Heavily, this one. I even if you don't believe in 9/11 or this and that, no, this is flat out wrong. We can show you more hours of the footage of people that were actually shot on the ground. We can do it. We can do it.
We got plenty of clips, man. We didn't even get to half the ones we wanted to get to tonight. But
so
they're,
watch the whole
you
show,
know what,
guys.
Seth, post all those clips on our Facebook page. All the ones we didn't get to, so people can go and watch them for themselves.
I've posted that InfoWars compilation. That's where all the videos are, and then linked to the other articles that we had. on the comments on this video. You have to go no further than that.
That's because producer Seth, you are the shit. Thank you very much.
Yes, he is. And before I sign out tonight, I would like to say thank you to all of our fans and followers and our future fans and followers. You can have one of these cool shirts here soon. This is sick. This whole
is gonna be awesome.
Thing,
it's gonna
done.
be great.
I'm so done with this shooting. I wish. I want the truth. I want the
wrong
truth.
thing.
Sorry. I want the truth, and I think the American people want the truth. We deserve it. We deserve justice, and the silent majority is silent no more. It's time to stand up, silent majority. Let's make our voices heard. I'm out.
Absolutely. Hey, as always, liberty prevails.
Liberty prevails. Cue outro.
The same people in 4chan and Poll, which stands for politically incorrect, basically from Reddit and 4chan, these same people were able to use flight charts and star patterns to decipher and find out where Shia LaBeouf was hiding his He Will Not Divide Us art project. These people have been able to find out the information that this Paddock guy worked for a contractor, a defense contractor that worked for the Obama administration. This guy has more CIA and FBI ties than it would blow your mind once you see this. I'm sorry, but I'm more inclined to believe the weaponized autism of 4chan and Poll than I am the mainstream media. And as you can see in these the sheriff press releases out of Las Vegas, this guy, this poor sheriff, you can tell by the look of his face and his words and his body language, this guy knows a lot more, and he's not allowed to say anything. Because we're being told this narrative that's just not true. I mean, we have people that were shot, actual witnesses that were shot that saw multiple shooters on the ground. And we're being told that there's no cover-up, there's no such thing, but yet you got Hillary Clinton 10 minutes into this shooting saying, let's not politicize this shooting, but at the same time, let's stand up to the NRA and let's enact gun control. This whole thing reeks of globalist and leftist and Democratic Party collusion.
Right. And by the way, Paddock, not an NRA member. Just throwing that out there. But, I mean, look, yes, absolutely. The eyewitnesses' accounts of saying there were shooters on the ground. That is key. That is key. They were saying they saw them on the ground. They're not talking about flashes from different hotel rooms with window, whatever. They're saying we saw these people on the ground. Now, in a lot of the videos you hear, that really backs that up, because when you hear it, the gunshots are obviously a lot closer than they were from the Mandalay Bay. Obviously,
Should we play that clip right now?
Yeah. If you got that,
let's do that.
Yeah.
But these are all the people randomly sitting inside the Bellagio Hotel where the sheriff is saying nothing happened as Daniel and I were sitting where bullets were being fired and we were in the lobby at the lobby bar. So I wanted to post this so that everybody could see inside the Bellagio Hotel.
Sitting? Why are they sitting?
Why we are all down here.
I don't know. I can't see the clip. I'm not exactly sure which one.
The hotel is on lockdown. But I don't like the fact that it was being reported one way. We were.
It's hard to judge reaction.
5.
Welcome back, our legion of lovely Liberty Leviathans, for our second half of the MLL Sunday show. We have got a lot to talk about on our second half, mainly Vegas. The entire narrative has fallen apart. Yeah, break out your tinfoil hats, because there are some weird things going on with this, all the way from witnesses disappearing to people being deceased to a lot of official narratives all the way up to the CEO of the MGM Grand that owns Mandalay Bay hiding things from the police, and the police chief bringing it out right now. There's I can't even begin to tell you all the things that are happening with this. But Lou, why don't you get them started off on our first little tidbit of information that they might have missed, because MSM is not reporting this whatsoever unless they're forced to.
Yeah, it's a whole conundrum of you know what. So yes, America is not buying the narrative that is being sold to us. Mainstream media would like you to believe that one 64-year-old man was able to go out and injure 500 people and kill 59 people with a bump stock fed rifle. This is not the case. This is not the truth. We all know what's really going on here. There is a cover-up going on from the FBI, the Las Vegas Police Department, and the mainstream media, and they're trying to push gun control through the Democratic Party. This is what's happening. And we have multiple witnesses that have actually been shot that have actually seen multiple gun shooters, okay? We're not buying this, ladies and gentlemen. We are not buying it. The American people aren't buying it. We know there is something going on here, and we want answers. The sheriff from Las Vegas Police Department came out last week saying that there was multiple shooters and there was multiple things going on here, and we're looking into radicalization. As soon as the FBI steps in, all of a sudden it's, oh, hush, hush, hush. The brother of the shooter starts saying, oh, yeah, he's a bad guy. Yeah. No, this whole thing does not add up. This, in my opinion, is a false flag operation. By saying false flag, though, that does not mean that it didn't happen. Yes, this obviously clearly did happen. People died. But, that being said, there is something that we're not being told here, Logan. Something very big that we're not being told.
They are absolutely hiding something. I've never seen any kind of more obvious scene of this. I mean, wouldn't the cause of death be a gunshot? That's what we've been told.
You would think.
You would almost have to assume, well, not even have to assume, you would have to know by the official narrative that it was a gunshot. One way or another, that's what he was supposed to have died from. Why would they be hiding that? Why would they be hiding information on this autopsy? Why is Jesus Campos missing? Possibly one of the most important witnesses to this entire thing. He saw who shot him. And he was about to do these interviews. Now he's gone. Why is he gone? I don't know. But what I can say is, knowing how important this man is as a witness, that the FBI wasn't keeping complete tabs on this guy is unthinkable. There is no way that he just went missing on his own like this. That is completely unbelievable to me. Are you kidding? Not to mention the poor lady who was a witness to all these things now found dead.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know this poor woman's name. I wish I did. But at the same time, I think I remember the interview she gave, and it was about multiple shooters. We have the LVMPD sheriff saying before all this that it's impossible that there weren't more than one shooter. We have Jesus Campos going missing now. We have reports from several eyewitnesses saying that shots were going off before this ever happened. There's video of this. I mean, to say that I'm wearing a tinfoil hat right now, I'm just connecting obvious dots. Obvious dots. And I've been saying this for weeks. They are not telling us something. I don't know what it is yet. But it's scary. The level of cover-up that's going on with this is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. It's undeniable proof that there were two shooters. I said it a week ago. I'm going to say it again now. There were at the very least, two shooters. Was Paddock a patsy? I don't know. Did he commit it? I don't know. But either way, there is no way he did it by himself. He had bomb-making material. He had his girlfriend there, Mary Lou Danley, someone that eyewitnesses were saying that, yes, she was harassing people, these concert goers, saying that you are all going to die tonight, fitting her description before anybody knew who she was. Philippines, my ass. But anyway, Lou, I don't know. What do you got on this, man? Am I completely off base on this? Or, I mean, what are you thinking?
No, you are completely on base on this one, Logan. The same people that were able to capture the flag basically efficiently with Shia LaBeouf. Do you guys remember this during the election last year? When Shia LaBeouf set up this art project with He Will Not Divide Us against Trump? Yes. So
the official narrative is completely being torn down every single day. It started off with the sheriff saying, You would have to believe this guy is Superman to be able to pull this off by himself, getting hushed up later. Now we have proof, absolute proof, that there was a second shooter. You cannot deny this. I mean, through forensic evidence, through eyewitness testimonies, through... I just can't even say it. Not only that there were two shooters, but there were gunshots going off miles away, or at least 1 mile away, from the scene before the main scene even took place. Jose Campos, the security guard that got shot, is now missing. There's an eyewitness who is now found dead, and her entire identity has been wiped off of social media. Every time you see the LVMPD officer, the Sheriff Lombardo, speaking, there's an FBI agent right here just hovering over him, making sure he doesn't screw up. It is obvious. It is completely obvious that there is something they are not telling us, and that they know it. Not only that, but they have now question of why Mary Lou Danley, yes, the Mary Lou Danley, who is the girlfriend of this guy, was covered up from being in the hotel, even though we have eyewitness testimony right after this all happened, that someone fitting her description before her description ever got out to the public was walking around harassing people, saying they were all going to die that night. There is something going on. It absolutely reeks, and we are being lied to. I don't know why we are being lied to. I don't know who is pulling the strings of the lie, but what I do know is this is absolute crap. It is complete crap.
Nobody believes what the mainstream media is telling us. We know better. Okay? The mainstream media has been saying for the past 2 weeks that they cannot figure out for the lives of them what the motive is. Let's just look at this. It was a country western concert. The overwhelming majority of them were white, God-fearing Republican Americans. Okay? That is the motive right there. 59 of them were shot and killed. 500 of them were injured. Logan, what do you have to say about the mainstream media coming out saying we can't figure out a motive? If this was like a white person shooting a bunch of black people, the mainstream media would have had that in minutes. Minutes. Logan, what do you have to say about that?
It's absolute horse crap. They know what the motive is. They've known what the motive is since they started investigating this. There were reports of having Antifa and ISIS literature in his room. The whole thing stinks. He was there how many days? 5-6 days before this actually happened. Nobody saw 30 guns in that room and reported it. They were saying that, oh yeah, no, he didn't have anybody with him. They have over how many visits of, him coming to these hotels and nobody's ever with him. Nobody ever checks in with him. Well, guess what? This time Mary Lou Danley absolutely did. And the LVMPD has been absolutely forced to admit this. Although I will give them credit, I think the LVMPD wanted to admit this beforehand, but they were under pressure from a federal agency, the FBI, to not release this. That's why you see an FBI agent hovering over the sheriff of Las Vegas every single time he makes a statement. The sheriff himself, I think he's in fear for his life. I mean, we have that one witness now already dead. We have Jose Campos completely missing. That is astounding to me. This is probably one of the most important people in America right now to testify and shed light on this shooting, the most massive, the largest mass shooting in American history. All of a sudden goes missing. You don't think the FBI had tabs on him? He was set up to do interviews with many mainstream media outlets, and he missed all of them. Nobody knows where he is.
Yeah, it's amazing how at first this guy, Jesus Campos or whatever, like he was claimed as a hero, right? Yeah. And the next thing you know, the sheriff department comes out with this new timeline saying that, actually he was shot beforehand.
6 minutes.
6 minutes beforehand.
6 full minutes.
And next thing you know, he's supposedly this hero. He's supposed to come on shows like big time talk shows, like syndicated shows like Sean Hannity.
CNN. All of
CNN. He goes missing. Completely missing. All in the meantime, we have actual witnesses, actual victims, victims that were shot in hospitals, coming out forth and saying, yeah, we have multiple shooters on the ground, different levels of different hotels. And then this guy just goes up and missing.
Yeah. He goes up and missing.
Yeah, and the next thing you know, the sheriff department is saying there's no conspiracy here. There's only one shooter here.
And he said himself before. He said like a day or two after, you would have to think this guy was Superman to be able to pull this off by himself. Now, those that don't know anything about shooting, from where that guy was, it's not point and click even with a crowd that size. Using a bump stock, even like the slightest bump from that trajectory from where he was could send a bullet flying way far away and not even get close to that concert. Now, I mean, leave all of this aside, and the autopsy that came out today, they're saying that they are not going to release a cause of death.